Hey guys, Chris here. In this video, we're going to talk about something you guys have been asking me to do for, well, since these two cars were launched, and that is Polestar 3 versus Volvo EX90. So today we're going to explore the similarities, the differences, and maybe talk about which one I think is the best. So without further ado, let's jump into today's video. Now let's talk about the similarities or things that are basically identical between these two cars. So to start off, they are on the exact same platform, which is SPA2, a platform developed to underpin pure electric vehicles only. So for people asking, is there going to be a hybrid or a diesel or a petrol version of the Volvo EX90? No. Pure electric only, and the same goes for the Polestar 3. But let me explain why they are on the same platform, because people may not know. A lot of people probably know on my channel, but for new viewers, you may not know. Polestar used to be the performance division at Volvo, and then a few years ago they were separated out as their own company. And they have their headquarters basically next door to Volvo in Gothenburg, Sweden. And a lot of the people at Polestar are ex-Volvo people, like, CEO at Polestar, Thomas Ingelott, used to be head of design at Volvo and also head of design at Polestar now. Max Mizzoni used to be a designer at Volvo, but he's also not only head of design at Polestar, he also oversees design at Volvo. So there are close ties between these two companies, and I suspect that, not only are these two cars on the same platform, they were probably co-developed together, to save on that research and development. Because why would they do, two complete different research and development programs on the same platform on cars that are basically coming out almost at the same time? That does not make sense. So I think, that is a reasonable conclusion to make. So this means that they are on the same platform. They have the same battery pack, which is, 107 kilowatt hours usable or 111 kilowatt hours gross capacity. That is a 400 volt architecture with a peak charging speed of 250 kilowatts for both cars. So 10 to 80%. Both makes are saying it's going to take about 30 minutes. So they also have the exact same wheelbase, 298.5 millimeters. But other than that, there aren't too many, things that are identical. I would have expected, more things to be identical, but you have the things like, the driver display at 8 inches is the same driver display. You have the same infotainment screen at 14.5 inches, and you also have the same steering wheel, though with different logos. And, other switchgear and secondary controls are going to be identical, windshield wiper stalks and gear selectors, window switches, volume knobs, and all of those things. And also the seats are probably going to be the exact same thing. Then we have the things that are very similar but not identical. So starting off with the range. So the Polestar 3 long-range dual motor gets the most range out of these two cars at 610 kilometers according to WLTP. And then you have the Volvo EX90 twin motor at 585 kilometers, and then you have the twin motor performance at 580. And then in last place you have the long-range dual motor performance version of the Polestar 3 with 560 kilometers. So basically the biggest difference is between the two versions of the Polestar 3, and then the EX90 falls smack in the middle of those two cars. And then you have the performance, because the performance versions of the Polestar 3 and the EX90 gets the same powertrain, same electric motors and inverters and all of those goodies. So 517 horsepower in both. The Polestar 3 performance gets 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.7 seconds, and the EX90 performance does that same task in 4.9. Not a huge difference. But the biggest difference is between the entry-level versions of these two cars, because the long-range dual motor of the Polestar 3 gets 489 horsepower, only 28 horsepower less than the performance version. So that car does 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 5 seconds. With the EX90, the twin motor version, the entry-level version actually only gets 408 horsepower, so 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 5.9 seconds. So I actually like the fact that there is a huge, bigger gap there between the Volvo versions than the Polestar 3 versions. I find it kind of strange that there's only like a 28 horsepower difference between those two cars. And then you have the interior, which is not identical. I talked about the infotainment system screens, the steering wheel and also the secondary switchgear being identical. Also, the center console is also identical. I forgot to talk about that. But, you know, the door cards are a little bit different. The dashboard is a little bit different. So not exactly the same, but very similar. Before we talk about the differences between these two cars, I just want to thank today's video sponsor, MITTDEKKHOTELL. So MITTDEKKHOTELL is a company here in Norway that will actually store your tires and wheels in winter or summer. So you go to their shop, they'll take off the tires and wheels off your car, put on the ones for the preferred season. Now it's winter, so winter wheels, and then they will store your summer wheels till the next season. They will insure them, they will wash them, and they will also check them for damages and also thread depth, which is something I would actually recommend you guys to be very careful about, because in Norway, a lot of people may not know that it's not only 3.2 millimeters for winter tires, also for summer tires that you're using in winter. In Norway, there is no legislation that you have to use winter tires in winter, but you have to use tires according to the conditions. So, you know, stop by a MITTDEKKHOTELL. They will check your thread depth for you and give their expert opinion and give you a price on some new tires if you need that. So go to the link down below to check out where your closest MITTDEKKHOTELL is. The biggest difference between the Polestar 3 and the Volvo EX90 has to be the exterior styling, and I mean, these two cars couldn't be more different, where the Polestar 3 is this low, wide, sporty, fastback shaped SUV. The Volvo EX90 is a big, boxy, and traditional SUV, and I love it. I love that they're so different. Yes, they kind of have, you know, that same design language, where the Volvo has the Thor's Hammer LED light and the Polestar 3 has that twin blade LED light, which is, you know, an evolution of the Volvo headlight. But other than that, they are very different. You can barely see that they are related, though both are kind of similar, and, you know, that Scandinavian design. And, you know, not only that, they are quite different on the exterior when it comes to dimensions. The Polestar 3 is 1.61 meters tall, so quite low to be, you know, this size of an SUV, and 4.9 meters long. And both share that same wheelbase, but that Volvo is a bit longer at 5 meters and 4 centimeters. It is 14 centimeters longer. That's about that much. So it's a huge difference. And also it's almost 1.8 meters tall, that EX90. So, you know, it's going to be much bigger and imposing, and it's actually, you know, much closer to a Range Rover, the new one that is, in size, where that Polestar 3 is more closely, you know, sized to a Porsche Cayenne. Then, of course, with the size comes the interior storage. So the trunk in the Polestar 3 is 485 liters, and in the Volvo EX90 a whopping 655 liters. But these two numbers are VDA, and that is only up to that belt line, to that window line. So the Polestar 3 having that sloping rear roof is not going to have a lot of cargo capacity over that belt line. The Volvo, being big and boxy, is going to have a lot of storage capacity. Both cars, same trunk size, 32 liters. And also, the EX90 is a 7-seater, so you're going to get a third row of seating, where the Polestar 3 is only a 5-seater with 2 rows. And another difference is the interior materials and trims. So, you know, you're going to get a leather option with Nappa 2 leather options in the Polestar 3, where the Volvo EX90, no leather option. Is going to have that Nordico, kind of that, you know, vegan faux leather. I'm pretty interested to see what that feels like. I got a chance to get a tour by Max Mazzoni, head of design of Polestar, of the Precept concept last year. And that car had a vegan leather that felt, you know, almost as nice as Nappa leather. So I'm kind of hoping and crossing my fingers that the EX90 is going to have a variation of that interior material. Then also, if you're going to want to buy one of these two cars, the purchasing process is similar or the same. So both cars can be bought online with a deposit, but only the Volvo can be bought at a dealer with no deposit. If you don't know, I actually ordered a Volvo EX90 the day after it came out, and I didn't have to put down a deposit because I ordered it from a dealer. And then that brings me to the next point, and that is the delivery time. So these two cars, you know, the Polestar 3 was revealed in Copenhagen in October, and the Volvo EX90 was, you know, revealed this month in November. And also, if you haven't seen, I actually have 2 tour videos of the Polestar 3. I have one at the launch in Copenhagen, and I have one done at Polestar Spaces here in Oslo, which is, you know, an even more in-depth. I'm going to link those two videos down below. But the Polestar 3 is going to be delivered to customers in late 2022 and no 2023, and the Volvo EX90 in Q2 2024. That is what it says in my contract that I have over here. Q2 2024. I'm guessing like May 2024. So there's going to be a long time between delivery of both these two cars. And interestingly enough, the pricing is different between these two cars. If you look at a fully loaded Polestar 3 Performance and also a fully loaded EX90 twin motor performance, the Volvo is going to be about 100,000 kroners more expensive here in Norway, probably about 10,000 euros or dollars or pounds more expensive in your market. Of course, pricing is going to vary, but I'm kind of surprised because I thought Polestar was going to be the sporty and premium, you know, brand at Geely compared to Volvo, but Volvos are more expensive now than Polestar, so it is the other way around. So the big question is, which will be better and which one should you purchase? Well, that is a very good question, and of course I'm not able to answer that question before I get my hand on both cars and drive them and, well, you know, evaluate them up against each other. But I do have some background here on the channel. I've had two Volvo XC90s, my personal vehicles. I've driven all the different Volvos. I've also, you know, had different Polestar 2s on loan from Polestar for the past 1.5 years. So I have a lot of experience with both brands. I've also, you know, had the chance to not only, you know, check out the Polestar 3 once, but twice, and I checked out different variations, both with leather and not leather. And what is very impressive to me is the interior material quality in the Polestar 3. And since the Volvo EX90 is going to have basically the same interior, it's going to be at the same level. So I think interior-wise, both cars are going to be very, very similar. Where I think they're going to differentiate is in the driving experience, because I think the Polestar 3 is going to be more sporty. Polestar themselves has said that they're going to compare their vehicles to Porsches, which is kind of, you know, the top of the line. Porsche makes some of the best cars on the planet, which aren't, you know, supercars like Ferraris and Lambos and, you know, super luxurious cars like Bentleys and Rolls Royces. You know, the brand that sits above, you know, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Volvo, and the other premium brands is Porsche basically alone. And I happen to own a Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. That is my personal vehicle now. So I kind of have high expectations for Polestar in the future, since they are positioning themselves. They themselves have said that, not me, not the media. Polestar themselves has said, our cars are going to compete with Porsche. So at the launch in Copenhagen last month, sorry, I'm kind of stuffed, guys, I have a cold. I got a chance to sit down with a few of the engineers at Polestar, engineer for interior design and also, driving dynamics and drivetrain. And I sat down both next to the drivetrain engineer and one of the chassis engineers together. And I asked them the question right out. So I said to them, you know, I drive the Taycan Cross Turismo. It's probably the best car I've ever owned. And what I love about it is, you know, the suspension tuning. I love the steering. I love the sense of solidity. And I asked them, how close to a Porsche's driving dynamics, steering feel, which they are praised for. You know, the 911 is legendary, and the Taycan is also a modern legend in the electric car market. I asked them, how close are they going to come? And they basically said it's not a 1-to-1 comparison. So that kind of lowers the bar a little, because I was hoping that they would go after, you know, the steering feel and also the suspension tuning and basically just go, you know, head to head with Porsche. But we're going to have to see how that car is going to be once we get our hands on a Polestar 3. But I'm hoping it's going to be sporty, it's going to be direct, because I like that. I really do like that. This week I'm actually, you know, testing a Mercedes EQS 53 AMG. And I have to say, without revealing too much, I like that car infinitely more when it comes to driving dynamics, steering feel, and suspension tuning than the EQS 580 I drove last year. So yeah, I kind of like that more driving, you know, luxurious driving where the car feels solid, the suspension is really well sought out, but you still, you know, have more of a direct feeling. Then we have the Volvo EX90 on the other side. As I said, I've had two Volvo XC90s, a diesel and also a T8 hybrid, both on air suspension. The first car on 20-inch wheels, the second car on 22-inch wheels, and the Volvos aren't sporty. They're not supposed to be sporty. They're supposed to be luxurious. So I think there's going to be enough of a difference in the driving dynamics. So which is best is up to you basically. Personally, I think the Volvo is better looking. I think it's sensational, phenomenal looking. I really love the exterior styling of that Volvo. And I also like the fact that it is a big and boxy SUV, that it is higher, you're gonna sit higher, because that is what I'm longing for in an SUV. So when it comes to these two cars, I know I just said that I, you know, lean towards driving dynamics of a sportier car. I think when it comes to an SUV, I personally am going to prefer the Volvo EX90 because of the practicality, the boxy styling, and also probably a more plush and luxurious drive in that car. But again, we don't know before these two cars, well, in a year, in 1.5 years. So guys, let me know down below which car you have chosen, which car is your dream car, which one you want to choose if you're in line for one, and if it's not any of these two cars, which other car do you, well, lust after in the electric car market? So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.